All right, what's going on, everybody? I was not totally planning on streaming today, but I just got home about a half hour ago, and my wife and daughter are still at Grandma's house swimming. So here we are. My boys and I just got back from Columbus. We went to the Columbus Crew game last night. Had a lot of fun at their new stadium. Stopped by the Camp Chase Confederate Cemetery today and shot some video for the channel. And then went to Dave and Buster's to have a little fun before driving the 3 hours back. So here we are. Let me pull up the chat so I've got it handy here. Thank you, everybody. And for those who are asking, it's 44 today. And I don't know how long we'll go with the stream. We'll look at some memes. We'll laugh. We'll do some Q&A, fun stuff like that. Happy birthday from Portugal. Very cool. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you, everybody. Great thing too is I get to share a birthday with one of my heroes. You guys hear me talk about her all the time. You know, I work for Rachel's Challenge, where we share the story of Rachel Joy Scott, and today is her 40th birthday. If she was still living, she would be 40 today. So it's a pretty cool thing that I get to share my birthday with somebody I've looked up to for so long. I saw Messi just left Barcelona. It's a big day, isn't it, in sports? With Messi leaving Barcelona, Jack Grealish is on his way to Man City. So kind of glad that I chose West Brom instead of Aston Villa, because those were the two teams I was choosing between. Or this would have been a rough day losing him as a Villa fan. But at least they're still in the Premier League. Dr. Touchdown, thank you. Mississippi State fan, thank you very much. Appreciate that, guys. Columbus, I was just there. Houdini, that's where I just drove home from this afternoon. Grealish and City colors. As for the Leicester friendly game, quite the mess. I didn't actually see the results. I don't even know who they played. I know West Brom's season starts tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. Erwin Rommel, the best field marshal, is here. Have no fear, that ginger guy is here. I am from Ohio. I live in Northeast Ohio. History guy, thank you. Oh, you played Villarreal. Very cool. Okay. Mississippi, 2 weeks. I can't wait. And guess what? These will be gone at that point. Next Friday. Friday the 13th, just a couple days before I head to Mississippi, I'm having LASIK surgery. So these will be gone. I'll be trading them for some reading glasses when I need something up close. But otherwise, no more glasses. So I'm excited about that. I don't know if you could call a war a turning point for humanity. Yes, we're going to do Extra History's Great Northern War at some point. World War I recruiter. The war will be over before Christmas. Recruit. Which Christmas? That's an excellent question. That's a pretty good one. Bismarck always has a plan. The glasses are iconic. Well, hey, maybe I'll need them for reading, because that might be close enough that I might need them for Messi. Where do I think Messi will go to? There's a lot of people talking about PSG. I hope he goes to the Premier League, but with Man City spending all that money today, I doubt he's going there. So does United become a possibility? That would be interesting. Maybe Liverpool? I don't know. I don't know where else he'd go in the Premier League. I doubt he'd go to the Spurs unless they use some money that they get from selling Harry Kane. The only Ohio resident I like. I appreciate that, Michigander. Would I rather meet Abraham Lincoln for free or meet Joe Biden for $10 billion? I would take the $10 billion. He hates Liverpool? Well, that helps. Chappie, thank you. Messi to West Brom. Yes. If West Brom sold their entire team, they couldn't afford Messi. Jay Jones, I love Indy Nidell. I've seen his Great War channel. I haven't checked out the World War II yet. The drink choice, yeah. I blame you for that, JD. This is all your fault. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the History Underground. Awesome channel. But yeah, it's totally his fault that I'm drinking this. He had a whole bunch of them when we were in Toccoa together, so it's his fault. What do I think of Missouri sports? Cardinals or Blues? Cardinals are cool. I like Cardinals. You're better than Heinz Guderian? Yes, I'll give you that. Chelsea, can Chelsea afford Messi though? All right, let's take a look at a few other ones here. Oh, that's a video. I have the sound turned off, so we're not going to do that. Oh, I didn't mean to remove it, but that's okay. I'm British. It's what we do. I'm a big fan of the Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman. Good stuff. Thank you, Elias. Appreciate that. Who's my favorite historical figure? Right now, it's Ulysses S. Grant. So I just came, you guys will see a video soon. I just came back from Columbus, and I was at the Camp Chase Confederate Cemetery. There are 2,200 Confederates buried on the west side of Columbus. It's in a residential neighborhood. The rest of Camp Chase is gone. Camp Chase is where almost all of the Ohio soldiers that fought in the Civil War trained, including some of my ancestors. And they ended up having a lot of men that were buried there, including an uncle of mine. So, collab with Mr. Terry. Yeah, Mr. Terry and I have talked about it. We're just trying to find the right idea, the right opportunity. We've talked about maybe doing like a game, like playing some Age of Empires together, you know, something fun like that. But I'm sure at some point we'll do a stream together. We just got to figure it out what we're going to do sometime. Happy birthday. How old am I? 44. The big 4-4 today. Do I ever play other types of game of history like shooters? Yes, I have played some shooters. I've played Enlisted on my gaming channel. Mr. Terry, I think, lives... I want to say he lives in the West Coast somewhere, somewhere in the West Coast. But fairly certain he does. I don't know. I feel like Chelsea can't afford Messi, but I could be wrong. Who's the laziest president, in my opinion? Ooh, Buchanan? I feel like it's got to be Buchanan. If you brought generals like Caesar or Alexander forward in time to the 1800s and brought them up to speed on new technology, absolutely. I think it totally would. I think men like that would adapt to any age. I don't think Messi's going to Man City now that they got Jack Grealish. I just feel like they kind of spent their... I mean, that's the first over 100 million pound transfer in English history. So I feel like that's... Favored president's personality. Oh, it got to be Theodore Roosevelt. I've played lots of Hearts of Iron. Yeah, PSG wouldn't be surprising to me. But boy, PSG's already got the top 2 transfers in history. Of course, there's no transfer here, right? I mean, because he's a free agent, basically. So, and Messi to MLS, wouldn't that be something? What baseball team do I like? The Indians, soon to not be the Indians anymore. How do I know so much about soccer? Well, I've been a soccer coach for the last 9 years, but I'm also a huge fan. So, Lukaku, former West Brom guy. Yeah, Messi is for free, so that helps. I do follow MLS. I actually was I was at the Columbus Crew DC United game last night. All right, let's look at a couple more memes here. British soldiers capturing German trenches in World War I. Very nice. German soldiers capturing British trenches in World War I. You live like this? Oh, man. I never played myself. I ran track and cross country in high school and college. Messi said his plans to play in the MLS with Suarez. Oh, if only. That would be something to see Messi playing in the MLS. I'm a little familiar with cricket, not a lot. I don't like the Indians' new name, and I don't know any Indians fan who does like the Indians' new name. History 101, very cool. I'll check out your channel sometime. Do I think France had a chance of winning the 7 Years' War? Yeah, I think they had a chance of it. We'll talk about the Crusades sometime. Do I know how long it took to look through all the battlefields for the dead and put them in cemeteries? What battlefields are you talking about a particular war? What do you mean, can I make it a normal chat as opposed to what? United States versus Soviet Union in the race to the moon. Let's see they're like country balls. That's great. Who of us will conquer the space? Timings to race. 1957, Sputnik. 1961, first manned spaceflight. Glorious Soviet can into space. What you of goings to do, America? I'll go to the moon and teach these commies about freedom. Take this, commies. Freedom gets the victory. America is number one. I'm proud of you, son. Ye lovings America. That's my brother. Wunderbar. Interesting. Poland Ball comics. Saddam's hiding place. Entrance hidden by bricks and rubble. Air vent. That's like an actual thing you can buy in the store. Is Saddam Hussein's spider hole. That's crazy. Strong Vincent, one of my favorite people from the Civil War. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. My top 3 must-read memoirs from the Civil War. I haven't heard anything else about Ultimate General American Revolution beyond what I did in my initial video about it. I haven't found anything else about it. Grant's memoirs number 1. Longstreet's is very good, but it's a tough read, especially after doing Grant's, because Longstreet goes really hard after like the very flowery language, and it's hard to kind of follow at times because he tries so hard to sound intelligent when he's writing it. So that's a good one. Really, those are the only 2 I could recommend right now. I want to get into some of the other ones that I haven't read yet. Did I watch America win the Gold Cup? I did. Do I think soccer will become the most popular sport in the U.S.? I think so. I think it already is with some younger generations. Like where we live, our town, which is a town of like 30,000 people, we get like 700 kids in our youth soccer league, which is way more than we get in football or baseball. So we've got more kids playing soccer, at least in my community, than any other sport. So I think it's getting there. I know it's all my kids have played growing up. Sam Watkins. Okay, excellent choice. Yeah, absolutely. Most recent year in history I'm willing to talk about before it gets messy. 1985. Let's say that. 1985, 1990. What was Florida doing during the Civil War? It was pretty empty at the time. I haven't watched any of the Olympic soccer matches. Robert E. Lee did not write any memoirs. He died 5 years after the war. Please don't call it soccer. Is America a great place? I think it is. Like any great place, it has its problems. William of Normandy, Harold Godwinson, the throne of England. Nice. I saw a few times something like that happen last night in the DC United Columbus Crew match. I did watch the History's Grant. I thought it was really good. Yes, Messi is leaving Barcelona. President I would most want to meet would be Grant. Cole, I'm glad you're here. Welcome. I can't believe City's going to sign Messi. But since it's a free, maybe. There have been 3 German Reichs. 3 German Reichs so far. Says, wait, that's my face. Wait, what? Somebody made a meme with my face on it. I didn't even catch that at first. I'm like over here looking at Angela Merkel, and I didn't even realize it was my face. Messi to West Brom, I wish. Flores official, thank you. Appreciate that. Top 3 generals from throughout history. I'm going to go with Caesar, Napoleon, and next one's going to be tough. Caesar, Napoleon. Ooh, who would you guys put as the third one? If I had Caesar and Napoleon as my first 2. If I were to go back in time anywhere, where would I go? Medieval England. It would be interesting. Ooh, Alexander the Great's a good one. I could go with Alexander. Hannibal. Yeah, Alex. We'll say Zhukov crossed my mind, Sean. I thought about him. Alexander. All right. We'll say Napoleon, Caesar, Alexander. That's good. I like that. I prefer the real Roosevelt. I said the real Roosevelt. It's the one with Robin Williams playing him. You know, Tom Berenger, who played Longstreet in the movie Gettysburg, was a decent Theodore Roosevelt in the movie. they made a number of years ago. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. Appreciate that. Ramirez Gonzalez, I didn't think it was so bad. I didn't mind seeing the U.S. beat Mexico at all, but then again, I'm an American, so. Chip, any advice? Do what you're passionate about. Find what you love and do that. That's all I could say. That way, it'll never feel like work. It'll be fun, and then that way, whether you're successful at it right away or not, it'll be a labor of love. So that's what I would say. My 3 favorite presidents. 2 of them are easy. It would be Theodore Roosevelt and Lincoln. After that, probably Eisenhower. Era of human history I find most interesting after the American Civil War would be British medieval history. Daniel Day-Lewis was a phenomenal Abraham Lincoln. Favorite age of empire civilization, the Brits. Always the Brits. Do I have a favorite tank of the 20th century? Yeah, the T-34. Complaining about a problem without proposing a solution is called whining. You know who I think of when I think of Theodore Roosevelt? Is Ron Swanson on Parks and Recreation. I don't know why. Maybe it's the mustache. They made a movie about Lincoln. I'm not into chick flicks. That's pretty good. Favorite war or battle? Gettysburg, Civil War. Would England have won the 100 Years' War if the plague didn't hit? To me, they won it anyway. I mean, honestly, they would have won it if Henry V hadn't died when he did. Favorite founding father, Alexander Hamilton. Well, we're getting a bunch of Theodore Roosevelt memes here. Literally get shot. Oh, no. Anyways, yes. Accurate. No, my actual favorite president is not JFK. What do I think makes me interesting to watch? I can't answer that because I am me. I don't know why I'm interesting to watch. But it's funny because it must be something about the format of YouTube, because my wife, who normally is very bored by me doing history, actually finds the channel interesting. And she doesn't like history at all. So I guess something's going right. But what was I about to say? We were talking about something. Somebody asked me a question and I forget what it was now. Can you imagine a politician? No, a politician wouldn't be able to do it today because they'd rush him off to the hospital. Favorite Democrat president? Ooh, probably JFK. Nicholas, appreciate that. Thank you. Without saying Grant immediately, who would I like to be vice president for? If it's not Grant, who would I like to be vice president for? Lincoln, because when he got assassinated, I believe that was one of the pivotal moments in American history, was Johnson becoming his vice president, or being his vice president and becoming president. So I would like to have been in that role instead of Johnson, because I feel like anybody could have done it better than he did. Can I make a great U.S. president? I'd like to think I could, but I don't know. I mean, you never know until you get in that situation. Best post-Jackson president in that time period? Whew. Polk. I would say Polk. Favorite period in history other than Civil War is British medieval history. All right, let's see. Hitler. Oh, boy. Europe in 1918, the Treaty of Versailles will mark the end of the war to end all wars. All the new European countries fighting each other in the 20s. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. Do I lift? No, I definitely do not. As evidenced by my skinny little arms that I have. City was about to buy Kane as well. Yeah, that's fair. So I guess they probably could. Boy, could you imagine a Man City that just won the Premier League? They add Jack Grealish and then they add Messi too? Come on. That'd be ridiculous. Best looking World War II warship in Gneisenau and Scharnhorst. I wouldn't argue with that. I think the German ships looked the best. Favorite bands: Sabaton. I have some soul. I mean, my favorite musical artists are probably Sabaton, and then Ed Sheeran. Dude, it's your birthday, Roberto. Happy birthday! Very cool. Worst English king during the 100 Years' War. Henry VI. I mean, that's how it ended, right? Best looking American president. The consensus seems to be Franklin Pierce. I'm not attracted to men, so it's hard for me to really judge. I don't think the Electoral College system will ever be removed. Rangers or Celtic? Definitely Rangers. Just won it again this year. Happy birthday. Thank you very much. Dear at everyone, George B. McClellan was a good general. Sexy boy, get over it, you cringe Lincoln lover. No, he was not. He was not a good general at all. All right, we got a Monty Python meme here. Where did you get those artifacts? The British Museum. We found them. Yeah, you didn't. Well, I mean, you did find them, but then you stole them. Ellesmere, well, there you go. See, Ellesmere is straight, but still says Franklin Pierce has got it. So, yeah. Careless Rex, not my favorite album. My favorite album by Sabaton is definitely The Great War. I haven't seen the movie about General Yi yet, or Admiral Yi. I want to. Imagine Messi with Jake Livermore, Alex Mowat. We're going to win the championship even without Messi. But, yeah, I'd like to go a little higher than that. Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me they think that Grant's an attractive guy. Mitchell, that's not the first one you're not the first to mention that. What if Harold Hardrada had won the Battle of Stamford Bridge? I think he still probably loses to William the Conqueror. What do I think of the Ottoman Empire? Had great moments. Had a really quick fall, as we're kind of studying in things. Did Lincoln trust Grant? Absolutely. Grant never gets a chance to lead in the East without Lincoln's trust, because Lincoln had plenty of cause and opportunities to remove him when everybody else in the army wanted him removed early in the war. I'm sorry I couldn't resist. Stalingrad. Wow. Oh my gosh. Why? Oh man. Best British general? Probably Wellington. Patton or Montgomery? Patton. Favorite quote by a president? I've got a few. I love JFK's speech about going to the moon. I think that we need that in this country. We need presidents being willing to set huge, ambitious goals. Like, I wish that we would have a president come out and give a speech like that about Mars. Give the American people something to rally behind, regardless of which side of the political aisle they're on. That kind of thing. I love that. Zach, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Hope all is well down in Texas. Another quote, Lincoln's second inaugural, where he talked about with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. Talking about binding up the nation's wounds and caring for him who shall have borne the battle and for his widow and his orphan. That was a great speech. Thomas Jefferson's letter to John Adams, comforting him on the loss of his wife Abigail, was fantastic. Thomas Jefferson had already lost almost all of his children, died before he did. His wife had died before him. And he writes to John Adams about this ecstatic meeting with people that they have loved and lost and whom we will still love and never lose again. I just love those words. Elliot, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, let me catch up on chat a little bit here. Grant hated music. That wouldn't surprise me. Grant also hated swearing. It's funny that Grant and Sherman were such great friends. Grant, one time when he was younger, said the word darn, and it ate at him for weeks that he said that. It bothered him so much. Sherman was said to have been one of the best swearers in the Army, and these guys were best friends. It was really kind of cool. Top 3 presidential speeches. Yeah, I would actually say Lincoln's second inaugural. JFK's to the moon speech was really good. Beyond that, I'm trying to think of one that I really like. Washington's farewell address. There's another one that's really good where he talks about, just retiring and enjoying the laws of a good, of a free and lawful government that he helped create. And he talks about how after 45 years of service to my country, I now go and rest from my labors. And it's sad because Washington died just like 2.5 years after leaving office. And his farewell address, which a lot of it was written by Alexander Hamilton, was just fantastic. Who I think was worse, Stalin or Mao? Why pick? They were both terrible. Was Napoleon doomed from the start? No, I don't think he was. I think if he had stopped at some point, he probably could have sat on what he had and been okay. Patton or Nimitz? Patton. Ike's farewell, the military-industrial complex. I kind of thought about that. Quite an iconic speech. Favorite first lady? I always really liked Laura Bush, but that's a little more recent. Let me think about that for a second. South Africa government says it will print more money and make everyone rich. That's not how the force works, says Germany to South Africa. Sherman was suicidal. I'm going to do a video on that at some point. I would guess if you were to... is that my wife? No, that's UPS at my house. I would guess if he were diagnosed today, he'd probably be diagnosed bipolar. He had real high ups and real low lows. But Jackie Kennedy would be a good one for favorite first lady, too. I have been to the Alamo. I've got a video on the channel about it. When the Pope says you can't divorce your wife, so you separate from the church and make your own religion. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Henry VIII. What time period could I visit if I could? Medieval England. Favorite American Revolutionary War general? Nathaniel Greene. I'll take you up there, but if nobody back there knows you, well, I guess, unfortunately, you'll have to be hanged. That's a quote from Gettysburg. It was said to Harrison. The saddest day in American history, the day Lincoln was assassinated. Best general during World War II, I'd say Patton or Zhukov. I've not been to Scotland. COVID is keeping me from the UK, and it's driving me nuts. Could I do a sports channel? I just don't know if I have time to do another channel. Baron von Steuben's a good one. Italian soldiers finding out they're attacking the same fortified Austrian mountain for the 40th time using the exact same strategy. Yep. World War I for you. What's my favorite museum? The best museum I've ever been to is the Oklahoma City Bombing Museum. That was fantastic. I really like the Medal of Honor Heritage Museum I just went to down in Chattanooga. It was really good too. I have been to Mexico, but on a cruise. It was Costa Maya and Cozumel. I can't wait to get there, Alex. I want to get to the UK. Best Union General, not counting Grant, Sherman. Then probably Sheridan. Do I think Lincoln was discriminating toward African Americans by refusing them in the army until it was dire? No, I think it was a political issue for Lincoln. I don't think Lincoln could have gotten away with African Americans in the army any sooner than he did. I don't think Patton was overrated. Yes, Baron von Steuben may have been gay. A historical period I find least interesting. That's tough. There are periods in history that a lot of people find very interesting that I've never really gotten into that much. I would say probably the period between the fall of the Roman Empire and like Charlemagne. Yeah, so maybe like 400 to 900 in that time period. I've not been to Greece. I haven't been to Europe at all. I've been to Canada quite a few times. George Thomas, good general. if you're defending. Not sure about on offense. Yes, I know quite a bit about the 8th Air Force. My wife's grandfather was in the 8th Air Force. All right, let's look at a few more memes. Germany invading France through Belgium in World War I. Germany 25 years later. SpongeBob meme. Want to see me do it again? Dave, you live next to Steubenville. It's just down the road from me. Opinion of the Toledo War. Ohio lost. We got Toledo. Dark Pit, I'm doing great. How about you? Yeah, British history and that one guy, it's cool that we know a lot about British history in that time because you have people like Bede who wrote things down. So we've got those historians writing stuff down, which is good. This will be on YouTube as a video. All my streams stay live. Thoughts on CSA monuments? It's complicated because a lot of those monuments were put up in a time during segregation intentionally to kind of promote white supremacy and things like that. And so from that standpoint, I understand it, though I still don't necessarily like it. I just came from Camp Chase, the Camp Chase Cemetery. There's a Confederate cemetery there, and there's a statue there of a Confederate soldier, and it was desecrated. It was beheaded, the statue, a couple years ago when that whole kind of big movement was happening to remove statues. That bothers me. That kind of thing I don't think should happen. Worst decision in history. Speaking as an American, picking Andrew Johnson as vice president for Lincoln. Best national anthem besides USA, Russia. History guy, I'm not going to get into modern politics, sorry. Invading Russia in the winter will always be the worst decision. I have watched Man in the High Castle. I like it. Vikings force monks to write about them in the only recorded documents of the time. Eric the Fierce, over 6 feet tall, rippling biceps. Grant or Lee? Grant. Maine. He ran vacation. Is that Oliver Howard? It looks like Oliver Howard. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's Oliver Howard. I prefer the real big three. I said the real big three. Perfection. So we got Stalin, FDR, and Churchill. Most fascinating African war conflict. The Zulu War is very interesting to me right now. I've been kind of reading up on that. I was listening to Rourke's Drift, the song by Sabaton, in the car on the way home. Was Lee about on par with Sherman? Yeah, that's probably a fair comparison. We really never... It's tough with all the generals because until we had Grant versus Lee, we never kind of had the best on both sides going against each other. You always had a good general on one side versus weak ones on the other and vice versa, so it's tough. I have not been anywhere in Asia or Europe. Do I think England would have won World War II if America didn't help? Well, I don't think England won World War II. Anyway, I mean, it was a combination of all the allies, but I think probably the UK and Russia eventually win anyway. But you got to remember, even without the Americans getting involved militarily, the Americans were definitely involved in sending supplies and finances to both the Soviet Union and the UK. Without them helping at all, maybe not. Thank you, Mr. Hubster. Appreciate that. I'm sorry I'm not getting to all your questions. There's a ton of questions right now, and I'm catching like maybe one out of every three. You can't just say any one country won. You can't say the United States won World War II. You can't say the Soviet Union won World War II because it was a collaborative effort. And on their own, none of them could have done it. I think on their own, the U.S. could have beaten Japan. That one-on-one situation, the U.S. is going to win no matter what. Beyond that, nobody won anything by themselves. And I'm not saying the U.S. did win against Japan on their own. I'm just saying I think eventually they would have. Was unrestricted submarine warfare justified? I think it was, but I still don't think it was necessarily a good idea. History guy, stop asking me stuff about modern America. I'm not going to get into it. Most glorious battle and humiliating battle in American history. Glorious is such an interesting term, but I would say if we're talking bad battles, Kevin, appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Wow. What do you guys think about, kind of a bad... I can think of a few from World War II that were bad. No, I don't think the Mongols could have conquered the world. They didn't have the infrastructure to hold it long term. The Revolution, there were some ugly battles. Brandywine was a disaster for Washington. New York was bad. It should have cost the Americans the war, losing at New York. Bastogne, fantastic. Battle of the Bulge for the Americans. Fredericksburg's bad, yeah. I don't know a lot about West African history. I wish I knew more. Custer, speaking of Custer, I'm planning hopefully sometime this fall to get out to Little Bighorn in Montana. Maybe as soon as September. We'll see. Depends on my schedule. Washington versus Lincoln in a wrestling match. Who wins? Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say Lincoln. When Horatio Gates flees. You mean Camden. That was bad. Love your content, visiting the battlefields around Richmond. Awesome. Thank you for the donation, and enjoy your visit to Richmond. Favorite British Prime Minister, Pitt the Younger. Swedish history, yeah, we're going to be doing 30 Years' War. Actually, the patrons voted on the 30 Years' War being the next extra history series that I do. So after we're done with the one on Turkey, that's what we're going to do next. Congratulations, soldier. You have been promoted to the rank of my cuddle bug. Oh, man. We had vegetarians back in the 16th century, too. We called them peasants. Oh, man. Thank you, Henry VIII, for that. Favorite historic femme fatale? Wallace Simpson? Oh, that's a good one. Matilda. How about... Cleopatra is a very fascinating figure. How about Boudica? Am I pronouncing that right? Boudica? I think it was Boudica. She's pretty fascinating. I don't know if she's a femme fatale. Gettysburg meetup dates? No, not yet. Though I can confirm I will be in Gettysburg in November. Going to be doing a history walk all day with Gary Edelman from American Battlefield Trust, who actually just was talking to somebody at the American Battlefield Trust. They said Gary's pumped that I'm going to be there. So I'm excited to finally get the chance to meet him. I know my friend JD from History Underground has gotten to collab with him. So I'm excited to be able to be there. We're going to do a 7.5 mile walk around the battlefield, but that's a closed event, and all the tickets have been given out for that already. So unfortunately, it's not something I can invite people to do, but I'd like to do something earlier than that as a meetup, but I don't know yet for sure about the date. Favorite British monarch? Edward III, George VI. Who's more inbred, Cleopatra's family or the Habsburgs? Cleopatra's family, and it's not close. Phil, you just can't let that go about West Virginia, can you? We are going to do a video on Roanoke, but probably not the BuzzFeed one. Matt, appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that you find it so interesting. Do I think if FDR had lived through his final term, I don't think it would have stopped the Cold War at all. Who's the best MLS team this season? I hate to admit it, but it's got to be the New England Revolution right now. Columbus doesn't look as great as I thought they would for the defending champs. Who would win in a fist fight, JFK or Khrushchev? JFK. Well, no, Khrushchev, because JFK was kind of an invalid. Zach, of course you're going to say Houston. I have seen The Terror. Very good show. Franklin Expedition's a fascinating time in history as well. Lincoln was not racist, even if he believed those things, and I think he probably did believe those things. He also was being politically smart, but I do believe Lincoln thought that white people were better than blacks. Bigger impact on U.S. culture, Jamestown or Plymouth? Ooh, Jamestown. I have not been to Springfield, Illinois. Who is my hero? Rachel Joy Scott. Who's also, her birthday is today. Who would win in a fight, Gandhi or Martin Luther King? I think King would kick his butt. Opinion on the Crusades, understandable for the time. That was just kind of how things were at that time. Religiously motivated wars that were also motivated by greed. Where in the table do I expect West Brom? I expect them to win the championship and move up this year and actually stay. Because I think if they move up, hopefully their owner sells the team to someone who actually cares about the team. Haley, I'm glad to hear that. And I know what an impact Rachel's story has had on my life. And I actually just got my first event on the schedule, my first Rachel's Challenge presentation in a year and a half. I'm going to be in Avon, Ohio, which is west of Cleveland. I'm excited. Best German Chancellor, Bismarck. Definitely Bismarck. Dr. Touchdown, he most definitely actually slept with Marilyn Monroe. All right, if I had a nickel for every time Italy changed sides, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Venus, today is my birthday. Yes. I don't have a favorite massacre. No, that's wrong. No. Who would win the Champions League? Well, if you'd asked me 6 months ago if I thought Chelsea was going to win it, I would have said no way. Nate, I have not worked with Youth for Christ, but I have been to some of their events. Favorite black regiment of the Civil War? 54th Massachusetts. One of my favorite regiments, period. Would Britain have sued for peace if they lost all their men at Dunkirk? No, I don't think they would have. All right, let's see. Who would win? 505 Soviet soldiers, one of which was the USSR's best sniper. Literally a farmer with a gun. Nice. USSR in the 1930s, slide to the left. Germany and Italy in the 1930s, slide to the right. Spain in the 1930s, crisscross. Favorite historical underdog? Grant. Definitely Grant. Favorite Ken Burns doc? Civil War, but he's got several that are really good. His Roosevelt was great. The one he did on baseball was really good. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones I've seen. I think those are the only ones I've seen so far. Favorite YouTube history channel to watch? The History Underground. Go sub right now. He was here earlier. Patton or Montgomery Patton. I fought Britain for 7 years. Well, I fought them for 100 years. Amateurs. What was that, punk? Amateurs, Ireland. Nice. Any good historical museums in Ohio? The Ohio History Museum, but it's not open yet. It doesn't open until September. It's actually right by the old Columbus Crew Stadium. I don't know if we have a lot of good historical museums. Best portrayal of George Washington. Jeff Daniels was really good in The Crossing. I also like the portrayal of him in Turn Washington's Spies. I love West Brom's new manager. I think he's fantastic for the team. What made me fall in love with history was 2 things. The discovery of the Titanic and Ken Burns' documentary, The Civil War. Sherman, Grant, McClellan. Accurate. Do I think maintaining an empire through overwhelming military might is sustainable long term? No, I don't. I did watch Downfall. It's very, very good. Jeff Daniels was phenomenal in Gettysburg. Absolutely. Do I like koala bears? Yes. Napoleon, great conqueror or greedy dictator? I think great conqueror. I don't think he was as greedy a dictator as a lot of people give him credit for. All right, we'll do a couple more memes. We're not going to go too long with the stream today. I just got home, going to spend a little time with my family, but I wanted to do a stream for my birthday. Ferb, this one's looking at both of us at the same time. Italy. Yeah, that's about right. Hessian celebrating Christmas. George Washington crossing the Delaware and launching a surprise attack. Excellent. Why do I like West Brom? I was raised by my grandparents, my mom's mother and father, and my closest immigrant ancestors, my closest ties to a country other than my own, were from West Brom, and they were my grandparents. Both of my grandparents had a great-grandparent who came from West Brom. Even though my grandparents met in Ohio in the United States in the 1950s, they both had great-grandfathers who were baptized in the same church in West Brom. So that's kind of a family tie that we have. Most mind-blowing historical revelation. Finding out that Abraham Lincoln was a wrestler who won like 300 matches. I never pictured Abraham Lincoln as a wrestler. Mead underrated? Yes, underrated, definitely. West Brom is right outside of Birmingham in England, in the West Midlands. Jay-Z Gamer, thank you, appreciate that. What made people hate President Hoover so much? No, I think it was mostly the Depression. I mean, that wasn't the only reason, but I think that was the biggest. West Midlands for the win. Nice. Favorite history game, Grand Tactician, the Civil War. Yeah, I did a video, Jason, on Abraham Lincoln's wrestling career. So search it out. It's the very first Forgotten History video I did. Do I agree with the assassination of Julius Caesar? No, it made things worse. I think Stephen Lang's Stonewall was pretty good. Stockholm, Sweden, the 51st state. I am a righty. Nate the Great. Nate the Great, isn't he a character on Ted Lasso, which is a fantastic show, by the way. I've seen Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I think the 11th Corps earned its reputation at Chancellorsville and Gettysburg. But I still think that their reputation was worse than what they earned. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that they were all immigrants. All right, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Ezekiel, thank you so much. Sorry for the short stream, but it's my birthday. Going to spend some time with my family. Just got home. We're going to stream again tomorrow. So I will see you guys then. Thank you to everybody who donated. Really appreciate it. Hello? What's up?